Is what we see on TV real? I'm Ellie, someone who knows nothing about law enforcement.
And I'm Steve, a former police detective.
Join me as we check out policing representation.
Yeah, it looks like we're looking at Bob's Burgers.
Yes. So this
Okay.
is. Have you seen this?
I've not seen this. I don't know who Bob is, or nor do I have any idea about his burgers.
So it's another American one because it seems a lot easier to find American crime online. Strange.
Yeah.
And it's a sitcom, a cartoon sitcom about a man who owns a burger shop. They're currently running a dinner theater thing, and then they get robbed.
Okay. It does look like a robbery.
He's got his gun. That's definitely a sign of.
Yeah, that's it. It's a good indication that a robbery's taking place. And he's got a ski mask.
Yeah.
Classic.
It does. Oh, he's called him a greaseball. Excellent. It's a bit of casual racism. This is a little bit unusual, isn't it?
Especially for the police to look at it and go, yeah, no, that's definitely just dinner theatre. Absolutely nothing untoward going on here.
Well, that's fair. I mean, I've never experienced dinner theatre, to be honest. So it's something I'm going to have to look into now. So essentially what's going on here is this has started off as a place that does dinner theatre, where you might have seen something like this. The robber's got involved doing a robbery and he's been so influenced by the theatrical nature of what's going on. And I don't know if he's quite sort of taken by that sort of chinless lady. But that's pretty nice. Excellent. So, I mean, this started off as classic robbery stuff. I've never seen or heard of this sort of thing taking place during or following a robbery. But that was quite interesting because when we started off this, we've got all the classic elements of a robbery here. So what's the definition of a robbery? It's somebody that uses theft, uses violence or the threat of violence. And in actual fact, it's a threat of force in order to achieve the offence of theft. So Matey Boy comes in waving a gun about. There's the implication of the threat there, and he's seeking to put people in fear of violence, or seeking to put people in fear of there and then being subjected to force. And the very act of waving the gun around provides that fear. Although having said that, an important part of robbery is that people don't actually need to feel the fear. Certainly, so they don't need to be scared. He sought to make them scared, but they're not taking him seriously. But the offence is complete because he sought to make them scared. And then he's not entitled to the money, it's not his, so he gets given it. So he's still completed a robbery, even though nobody's scared at all. And no one's taking him seriously. They think it's all pretend, but his intent is really important here. And the fact that he then does it, and then he kind of chills out a little bit and kind of gets into the theatre, doesn't take away from the fact that he went there and he committed the robbery in the first place. So it's really a classic robbery, but with a nice theatrical twist. So I think we should see more of that. I think that'd be nice.
Yeah. Advice to robbers: have a little bit more style when you're doing it.
Well, what I thought was interesting on the way out is they've got something called gait analysis. And gait analysis is about looking at the way people walk and trying to identify people from that. So if it comes to the subsequent investigation that might take place after this theatrical robbery, there's a few lines of inquiry that they've got here. One might be the identifications out of the question because of the fact that the dude's wearing the ski mask. Having said that, he's got very blonde eyebrows. So that's, it's a distinguishing feature. And I would expect any of the witnesses I talk to, they might say, look, what do you know about this guy? Well, he was a good dancer and I quite liked his singing, but the eyebrows. So they'd be looking for some of these very prominent sort of blonde eyebrows. And then we might be able to, I would have to maybe some CCTV in there, and they might be able to look at the way that he walked, because he kind of walked out in quite a distinctive way. So it might be that if he's caught, they might be able to get some other CCTV of how he walks and compare how he walked on during the robbery in the burger place to how he walks normally, and then they might be able to say that's the same guy because this walk is quite unique.
What about Louise? So Louise is the little kid with the ear hat, and pretty much as soon as he comes in, she brandishes this knife from somewhere.
Right, yes.
Is that okay?
It's to be discouraged. I think giving kids knives to start with is probably not the best thing to do. Having possession of a knife in a public place would amount to possession of an offensive weapon. It's something that's either made, adapted, intended to be used to harm someone, essentially, is what an offensive weapon is. In that case, I didn't see, was it a kitchen knife or...
It was a kitchen knife, and it is a restaurant, so she might have like, I mean, but they're in the eating area, so I feel like she
Okay.
took it with her.
Okay, well, so if she took it with her, then it would be a question of carrying an offensive weapon, and she'd have to have a good reason why she thought that was okay. I don't think she's a chef. It doesn't look like she's on her way to work as a chef. Yeah, okay, so she's not like a professional knife sharpener or knife thrower. So the chances are she hasn't got a good reason for having a knife with her. So she's probably involved in the world of carrying an offensive weapon. Having said that, age of 9 is under the age of criminal responsibility, so she's not likely to get into too much trouble from that. The alternative is, though, she's picked it up in response to Matey Boy coming in waving a gun around. If she's just found a knife and then picked it up, that's called instant arming. And so she would clearly have, even if she wasn't a grown-up, she'd have a defence to possession of an offensive weapon because she's responding to circumstances. Offensive weapons are all about discouraging people from routinely carrying things or even carrying things for self-protection, except for in the case of where something happens and it's just something nearby and they pick it up and respond to it. That's not what offensive weapons are all about. So we don't know the facts. So we'd have to establish the facts to really know what she was guilty of. I'm guilty of wearing a stupid hat, I think.
So if she had stabbed him, would that have been totally fine self-defense, presuming that she wasn't carrying the knife around, she found the knife and then she stabbed him because he came in with a gun?
That's a good question. It very much depends on the circumstances, because you don't have to wait to be harmed to take action to defend yourself or someone else. So I guess if Matey Boy's waving the gun around and somebody said that they feared for the safety of themselves or someone else, then there would be a defence of self-defence in that if they then attacked the robber. If they attacked him on the way out, that might be a bit more dicey. So it tends to come down to what you're doing. And it also comes down to being reasonable. I suppose if somebody brings a gun to a knife fight and then they get themselves stabbed by a knife, you kind of... it wouldn't be unreasonable if somebody was waving a gun at you for you to genuinely feel scared and stab them. Having said that, Matey Boy was doing a lot of dancing about. He wasn't particularly threatened, and nobody else seemed to be threatened. If she stabbed him, I think it's going to be more because of his sort of offences against sort of theatre rather than his general sort of scary robberness.
Yeah, and it definitely did feel like she was just ready. She was like, right, finally my opportunity to stab someone.
Yeah, she did look like somebody. She's just there waiting to stab somebody. If he hadn't come along, it could have been like a pavement artist or a rude waiter or someone else. I think somebody needs to have a word with her, to be honest.